Hello. Seb is once again sparking reasonably interesting debate. I'm not entirely sure that he's as dumb as he plays, because he tried to set up a nice little shell game for me, and he says, Murby, so if I understand you correctly, which is a different way of saying, so what you're saying is, which is always a trap. Just obey like good little sheeple. I never said that. I have 3 basic rules that always apply. Number 1, talk to an attorney as soon as possible, preferably before you're in trouble, but always talk to an attorney, qualified local attorney, licensed to practice in your state, in your area. Talk to an attorney. Number 2 is don't talk to the police. And number 3 is don't resist arrest. And while you may have a justification for resisting arrest, you probably don't. Generally speaking, you don't. And I don't know of any instances ever where someone resisted arrest and didn't end up either dead or arrested. Don't resist arrest. If you get a good attorney, you might get out of the resisting arrest charge, but it's just not worth it. So those are the only 3 things I've ever said. I'd never said just obey like a good little sheeple. I strongly suggest that unless you've already talked to an attorney and basically got his blessing to do it, that if a officer tells you to leave a particular area you're protesting at, I strongly suggest you do it, not because he's right, but because he might be. And unless you know, you might just be setting yourself up for a trespassing charge or something. Generally speaking, unless you've talked to an attorney about the actions you're planning on taking, generally speaking, as a general rule, hashtag not all, generally you do want to follow the lawful orders of the officer and assume that any order given is lawful, unless, well, just as I would assume it, unless you have talked to an attorney about it. And after you've complied with the order, you can always go back and talk to another attorney or the same attorney or whatever and review it and figure out if you did violate your rights, in which case you can go to the courts and sue. That's the next step. He says file a lawsuit. Yeah, file a lawsuit. That is the way that you protect your rights. Yelling at cops doesn't protect your rights. Resisting arrest doesn't protect your rights. Trespassing doesn't protect your rights. Waving cameras around it doesn't protect your rights. Lawsuits do. The government is the only thing that can tell the government what to do. Oh, the people are the government. No. The people elect the people who are in the government. And maybe you'll get the $1 as damages, because that's what it's worth as per the judge's opinion on civil rights violations without damages. Well, again, it's going to depend on what you're suing for. If you are suing for injunctive relief, if you're suing to get somebody to do something or not do something, then you won't get damages. But you'll get what you want if that's what you're suing for. If you're suing for damages, well, then you have to actually prove damages. So did the police hurt you? Did they? Because literally in the sentence it is, and maybe you'll get the $1, which means nominal damages, because that's what it's worth as per the judge's opinion on civil rights violations without damages. If there are no damages, then yeah, you'd get nominal. If you are suing for damages, the first thing your attorney is going to do is try to figure out what the damages are. That's what can he prove? And there may be punitive on top of it. But if you act like an asshole, your odds of getting punitive damages go downhill pretty rapidly, because the jury determines damages, and generally speaking, unless for whatever reason you forego a jury trial, but the jury determines damages. And if the jury doesn't like you, they're less likely to give you damages. And if you're a massive raging cunt out there yelling at the cops and starting shit and getting in fights with Jews on the street because, I don't know, you hate Jews or something, and stalking kids in schools and stuff like that, the jury's not going to like you. Fucking retards out here, I swear to God. You can always clarify if I'm not, because you know that I'm slow and a tar. Well, the solution to the damages issue, if you don't have really strong damages showing, is to settle. Settling is fine if you're after damages. Now, what the auditards are saying is that they're fighting for your rights, for your freedoms, right? I'm on my way to Sioux Falls. Give me money to protect your rights, whatever. Blah. Monetary damage award is not going to protect your rights. However, injunctive relief will, or getting an order clarifying declaratory relief, stating that, this activity or whatever is protected by the state or federal constitution, whatever. That will protect other people's rights. That is fighting for your freedoms, actually. Getting monetary damages isn't fighting for freedoms. That's, generally speaking, no. So if your goal is to let's say you desperately want to film in post offices, and there is, of course, a regulation, a federal regulation that prohibits filming in the post office except under very certain limited circumstances. That may or may not be constitutional. I don't know. I can't tell you. My gut instinct is it probably is, like on a 51% probably it's constitutional, 49% not. But it might not be. I mean, it's a wobbler. I mean, again, it's a non-public forum. It's got to be reasonable and viewpoint neutral. I don't know that it is reasonable, but it probably, I don't know. Anyway, if your goal is to film in the post office, then what you would do is you would sue them for declaratory or injunctive relief, not for damages. And then, I mean, if someone really wanted to change it, they would sue the post office, say, I want to film in there. They have this policy against filming. They have this regulation against filming. I want to film there. I think it's a violation of my First Amendment rights. You would sue them. That's all you have to do. Nobody's done it yet because none of these motherfuckers are really fighting for your freedom. But that's all anybody would have to do. File a fucking lawsuit. Bada boom, bada bing. Jesus Christ. But if you're not going for injunctive or declaratory relief, then you would go for damages. And that's because your rights have been violated. Typically, that's when you go for damages. Your rights have been violated, and you're not trying to fight for somebody else's rights. You're fighting to correct the harm that's been done to you. The measure of your damages is how much harm has been done to you. And there are metrics. There are ways that you can plead it. I mean, there's special damages, there's general damages, there's punitive damages. Like a hospital bill would be special damages. General damages would be pain and suffering. Punitive damages would be like if they did it just to be dicks. So if those are going to be low, well, then your best bet is to settle, because the opposition is going to say, what are my odds of winning? How much am I likely to pay out, and how much is it likely to cost me to get to that point, to get all the way to and through trial? Discovery is expensive. Motions for summary judgment, fighting them or filing them, they're expensive. The trial itself, I mean, trials can take, depending on how complicated it is, how many witnesses there are, things like that. I mean, you can have like a 2-week trial or something like that, which would be long. I mean, normally trials, in my experience, are 2 to 5 days tops. Occasionally they're 1 day. Usually it's 2 days. Sometimes it goes up to 5 days would be a long trial generally. But I mean, they can go longer, and that's expensive because lawyers are expensive. So they do the math in their head, and they're like, well, if I give you X amount of dollars, you go away, you were only looking for money. So, you know, I'm probably going to spend this much on the lawyer. I'm probably going to have to spend this much in damages. You know, there might be attorney's fees involved. You might also be coming after me for your attorney's fees. So I got to calculate that in as well. So here's $30,000. Would you take $30,000 and go away? And then as the plaintiff, you got to sit there and think, well, how much am I likely to make at trial? How much is it likely to cost me? Is $30,000 a good settlement? So in the case of Rebecca Musar, she got $30,000 for spending not even a night in jail. It's like an hour or less in jail. She got $30,000. Now, Seb doesn't think that an hour of his time is worth $30,000, but you know, I'm sure that he is a Wall Street financier who makes tens of thousands of dollars a minute. Unlike us poor plebs, you know, I'm just a lowly attorney, and $30,000 would be a pretty good chunk of change for me for an hour or so of my time. So it's all in. So what he was saying is just generally bullshit. That's really what I was going for. It depends on your goal, what you are trying to get out of the litigation, what your end goal is in doing the thing that's going to get you into litigation in the first place. But that's why I always suggest, number one, starting off talking to an attorney. That's where you start off with, because an attorney can help you figure out the best method, the best route to take to get you to your goal, since your goal is a legal goal. You're trying to get a legal outcome. You're trying to change the law or use the laws to your advantage. That's what attorneys are there for. You should always talk to an attorney. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.